Cool. So this is a really important workshop. And as I was just saying to Jackie before I started recording, for those of you listening to the recording, this is something I've constantly been asked about is nutrition and fat loss and making fat loss easier, making eating easier and more sustainable. So you guys are going to get, Jackie, I'm just going to mute you here. If you want to unmute yourself, I can raise your hand and I can unmute you. Yeah, so a lot of you guys have been asking questions about this, and I actually faded away from working in nutrition for a while because I kind of got burnt out on it, because fat loss and eating is extremely emotional, whether we recognize it as that or not. It is extremely emotional. It's not as simple as getting the gym and lifting weights, honestly. There's a lot of complexities that come into it, a lot of conditioning around food, especially in our culture and our childhood. So there's a lot of dismantling around food. So it's a complex issue, and I'm going to cover as many things as I can in this hour about food, some of the most pressing concerns that you've had with food. I've personally experienced some real hell around food. I started my first diet at 15. I thought I ate too much fast food and I felt gross. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go vegetarian. And then from then it just spun out of control. It was like, well, now I'm going to try veganism and I'm going to try paleo and keto and low carb and carb cycling and calorie cycling and the potato diet, like literally all sorts of things that I've done. And I told myself, oh, I'm doing this so I can help my clients. So I can, when they come to me with a new diet, I can be like, oh yeah, I've tried this and this is what happened and this is what I liked about it. But really I noticed that I didn't know how to intuitively eat anymore. I always felt like I needed to be on a diet. I literally didn't know what to do without some sort of structure on my food. And it took me going through hormonal hell of under eating and stressing out my body consistently, where I was like, shit, like I got to actually figure out how to eat and not have so much stress around eating, right? Because when you're constantly thinking about your food, it's emotionally and mentally exhausting and it's stressing out your body. And when we're trying to lose weight, but we're constantly fixated on food, it's just not a good team right there. So the topics that we're going to go over today is how to stop thinking, obsessing, or fixating on food and wondering whether you should eat this or eat that. How to lose or maintain a healthy, happy weight without excessive restriction, counting calories, or having to cook constantly. It's kind of dismantling the belief of what it actually takes to maintain a healthy weight. We'll also talk about what a healthy weight and a happy weight might look like for you. It might not be 120 pounds or whatever. We're going to look at how to naturally regain control of your appetite and cravings without supplements, shakes, and these detox diets, which a lot of people who I reached out to who I thought were going to be appropriate for this workshop, they're like, oh, I'm on this detox diet, I'm on this cleanse, and those can be good. I don't like those buzzwords, cleanse and detoxes and all that stuff. I mean, we literally have organs to detox us. A lot of it's just buzzwords. And then once we're done with the cleanse or the detox, what do we do then, right? I'm always looking at longevity. What do we do then? It's the same thing with people who love, I don't know why Jackie tried to enter twice. Jackie wants to listen at all angles. So anyway, like it's the same thing with certain exercises is we have to think about longevity. We have to think, well, I'm going to do this high intensity interval training, CrossFit, whatever stuff, but then what does it look like long-term, right? How can we maintain that for the rest of our lives? So that's what I'm looking at with nutrition. So yeah, those are the 3 points we're going to hit. There's going to be a lot of information. If you want to take some notes on this, that would be awesome because I actually want you to apply what I'm going through. Okay. It's not enough to just absorb it and you're like, okay, like that makes sense. Like I really want you to apply this stuff and it's not going to look perfect and pretty. It's going to take time. When I was relearning how to eat intuitively, it took me at least a couple years. And granted, I didn't have the guidance. I didn't have somebody kind of walking me through it like I'm going to be walking you guys through it today. But it does take patience and understanding and knowing that it's not going to be linear. Okay. So how to stop thinking, obsessing, and fixating on food and wondering whether we should eat this or eat that. There's even books that are called Eat This, Don't Eat That. And some of those are really great, but honestly, like for the bulk of people, especially people that I work with, like we know how to eat well. Like we know what to avoid. We shouldn't eat processed foods, right? We shouldn't eat tons of sugar, right? We know that causes diabetes. So a lot of us know how to eat. It's just a matter of actually implementing it, right? So how to stop thinking, obsessing, fixating on food is stop the diet rules. I wrote a post about this. Like stop the diet dogma bullshit. Stop thinking that there's a right way and a wrong way in absolutes. Okay, so there are some principles that we'll go over that will guide you, that are generally good principles to have around food, but it shouldn't be this, like a goddamn religion war with nutrition, right? Well, vegan's the way, paleo's the way, vegetarian's the way. Like, just no, like stop all the diet rules. Okay, we're gonna go over the principles in a minute, but if you stop all that and stop thinking and putting that moral value of like good and bad, it clears up a lot of that space that you're not constantly thinking about food anymore. You're like, oh, I don't have to weigh and measure mentally of, does this fit into these dietary rules, right? Ways that dietary rules will try to trick us in is telling us when we're supposed to eat, what we're supposed to eat, and how much we're supposed to eat. Meal plans. Everybody loves meal plans, but meal plans, number one, they keep you dependent on meal plans, because then when you're off a meal plan, what the hell are you going to do, right? You're not going to follow this really strict, bland, boring meal plan for the rest of your life. So while I understand why those exist and while I think they can give you results short term, again, we're looking at longevity. So stopping all like chasing down meal plans, meal templates. And instead learning how to listen to our body's inner wisdom, which takes some time, and we'll go over that in a little bit more depth as we go through this. So number one, stop the diet rules. Stop weighing and measuring like what's right and what's wrong. Two, so important, cannot understate this. Make sure you're eating enough food. This was my problem. I was a chronic undereater. I realized that wasn't as rare as I thought it was. We have a really bad epidemic of women who undereat chronically, and I've had men who undereat as well. So, okay, so I've had clients who had over 100 pounds to lose, and we look at their food. So any client I get who has a nutritional goal, I tell them, okay, we're going to track our food for 3 to 4 days in a food calorie counter, and we're going to look at what your normal eating is. So what your normal calories are, your carbs, your fats, your proteins, to see what your baseline is, right? So I've taken these clients who want to lose weight, who have a lot of excess weight, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, and we realize they're eating and maintaining their weight at 1,100, 1,200 calories a day. Somebody who has more weight actually burns more calories. So I burn way less calories than somebody who's 250 pounds. Whether they're composed of fat or muscle. It just takes more to fuel their body and to fuel all the systems and to fuel their tissue. So what'll happen is we get into this state of where we're chronically dieting, we're chronically jumping on the next diet, and that we're always in a calorie deficit. And we wonder why we're tired. And that pressures us, or that stimulates this thinking, obsessing, and fixating over food. We're literally not fed. So make sure that you're eating enough. And let me tell you, it's really difficult to refeed for a lot of people. Been there. It took me over a year to raise my calories from around 1,500 maintaining up to 2,000. Psychologically, it can be extremely challenging, especially if you desperately want weight to lose, or you're terrified of putting on weight. The idea of refeeding, right, and building up your calories can be extraordinarily overwhelming and intimidating. I have successfully done it with several clients. We strategically increase their calories. I've done it with myself. Now I'm eating closer to 2,500 to 2,700 a day, and I'm not as active as you'd think. I lift 30 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week. I don't do cardio or any of that. So you can really eat a lot of food. And when you're able to eat a lot of food, you're able to get more nutrients in as well, right? If you're eating 1,200 calories a day, you're maintaining your weight on 1,200 calories a day, maybe you feel fine. But how can you literally get enough nutrients to fuel yourself on that little amount of food consistently? right? Like your body's going to be starving